Good afternoon, Coach Kelly here with a very special guest, Andrea Turner. She's had a long and rewarding career in the medical industry as a nurse. She is also a mind, spirit, soul, transformational health and life coach. Did I say that right? That
Well, let's correct it. I am a transformational health and life coach.
Okay. But I've invited her on my corporate wellness show today to find out more about what she does, how she serves her clients, especially in her coaching practice, and how that might add value to you. So, Andrew, are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right.
Let's talk.
So I have to ask though, because you've been in nursing for a long time, how did you get started with nursing? I mean, when did you get it in your mind that you wanted to pursue a career in nursing?
This story is going to probably blow your mind because been asked this question quite a bit about how I got into my career. And actually, I never wanted to be a nurse. I always had a desire and a passion to do hair and to become a beautician. But as I went through high school, I never positioned myself to get any information in regards to cosmetology school or anything, right? But I have an older sister who's a nurse. And she looked at me and she says, "You're going to go into nursing." There wasn't any questions. Let's talk about this. So I did it. I looked up to her, I applied, and I got into nursing school. And that's my history. And I truly believe it's all about what life brings into your situation or your being that you know nothing about until later dates.
So at what and then how long have you been a nurse?
38 years.
That's a long time. So at what point did you decide what prompted you that you felt like you wanted to become a coach, as an addition to being a nurse?
Yeah. So it was a long history of illnesses, long history of going through, and we talking multiple years, different types of illnesses that I knew nothing about. And I'm a healthcare professional at that as a nurse, right? And so as I went through about 8 different specialty doctors, no one could figure out why I had what I had, but they all agreed what I had. It had everything to do with my vestibular system, imbalances, vertigo, dizziness. And then what did that land me? Because people couldn't figure it out and I can figure it out. What do we start thinking? It's in our thoughts, right? And so we start thinking the worst. And then I start developing anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and so forth and so on. So as I went through all of that and coming out of it and having waves to come back and so forth and so on, one day I was just on my phone, to be honest with you, and it popped up, become a health and life coach. And I said, in my spirit at that point, this is my purpose. This is why I've gone through what I've gone through. This is why I've been, experiencing everything that I've experienced is to help people. And the focus is on the body, the spirit, and soul. So I'm gonna give you just a little bit of a history there too. Back about almost 7 years ago, it was placed on me, seeds placed in me to learn more about the body, the spirit, and the soul connection. So I formed a women's group, a foundation of 6 people. My friends and family got together, small group, and every Monday we would meet for the next 6 years, even through the pandemic on virtual, to learn more about it. I have a very creative mind. And so I would come up with subject matters we learned, but I got really, really more intrigued in growing towards spirituality, me being spirit and things of that nature. And so I said, you know what? I think what the world really needs to know is open up the conversation about who we've really been created to be. I said, we're out here, we're serving and we're coaching and everything, but we're missing something. Who are we? And people ask that question all the time. Do they get the answer? Most of the time, they don't. And so that's what prompted me to say, hey, I want to help people go beyond themselves to become themselves in the area who they've been created to be.
Okay. You know what Evan says about our purpose, and that is where we have suffered the most in life and come through that. That is our greatest opportunity to serve the world. It's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
It
And
is.
I love it.
So can you give me a favorite client success story?
Sure. Um, I've had a lot, but this particular one really resonated with my heart because an older woman came to me. She saw my story. Evan really was the one to encourage me to make a video because I wanted to do this video coming out with Diana Ross for my business. And I did it. And it was at my birthday party. And there was a group of 50 plus people in here. And this one particular woman that was there saw my video on my story, on my suffering and my pain. And she connected to that. And because of that, she wanted to start working with me as a coach. And as I'm working with her, I have a 12-week one-to-one program. And as I'm working with her, we're going a little bit deeper, change work and so forth and so on. It wasn't until that 12th week that she had a very eye-opening awakening to herself about why she had all these other issues in her life across the board. It stemmed from one relationship, which was her deceased husband. He was already deceased. They had a lot of difficulties in their marriage. She was holding on to stuff. She had patterns inside of her that she could not understand. Why is it reflecting on my relationship with my son now or my daughter-in-law now? And we got to that point on that 12th week and she had that opening. And ever since then, life has opened up and she has been really turning her life around, becoming the person she wants to become, getting out of her fears, getting a new house, getting better relationships with her family, so forth and so on. So that for me really, really helped me to see that working and coaching and the things that I know, it really does help.
So it sounds like she was carrying a lot of baggage from her past.
Absolutely. And she didn't know it though. And that's what, going really deep and vertical with the work that we do is really important. And what I tried to connect with her, I always say in life, every earthly problem, there's a spiritual solution to it, right? And as you teach people this, knowledge is power, but it's what you do with the knowledge and understanding is that's going to take you a long way.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced since, because you went through, tell me about the coaching certification program that you went through, and then once you got certified, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and actually going out and starting coaching?
Okay, so this actually happened a couple of years ago. It's a 6 month to a 1 year program with HCI, and it's a double certification for health and life. It took me not 6 months or a year, it took me close to almost 2 years to get through it because I was still battling with some health issues that used to just come up. And then once I did that, I launched my business because of Evan. I've been with movement makers. And I'm the person, if someone instructs me or gives me some information, I go for it. I do it. I want to see if it's going to produce what they say it's going to produce, right? And it did. And so, as I had 7 clients so far, a few not paid, but just I wanted to be able to help them. And it was practice for me, right? And so the challenges is this is we talk about getting an ideal client, right? The challenge is really is getting a client, period. Not just your ideal client, but just a client. And there's really different layers on the reasons of that. But I don't think people know why they should invest in themselves. They don't understand the magnitude of changing their lives. They want all these things. They just don't know how to get it. And the knowledge is with people that have studied, that have the knowledge base that wants to give it to them. And so I think just learning how to help them learn how to invest in themselves, even on the smallest levels, will be very helpful.
So I wrote that what you just said reminds me of a blog that I wrote back. It was actually during our nationwide lockdown a couple of years ago, right after the pandemic hit. But the title of the blog is "I know what I should be doing, but," and then insert excuse. Because how many times have you heard someone say, "I know what I should be doing, but," And they say that so casually, like I use the analogy of like flipping on a light switch, that they could go from where they are to where they want to be just so easily. And what I explained is that if you're lacking skill set and accountability and discipline,
Mhm.
that may be just an insurmountable chasm between where you are and where you want to be. And what fills that gap is a coach. I mean,
Yeah.
a coach to provide the knowledge and the accountability and encouragement. And because what we will give up on ourselves right and left. But to
Mhm.
have someone cheering you on and holding you accountable and giving you information that, like, if you're trying to cook healthy and you don't, I mean, if you're trying to eat healthy and you don't know how to cook healthy, good luck with that. Or you don't
Yeah.
know how to shop for healthy food. And it's not as intuitive as you would think that it would be. So anyway, what you just said really resonated with me.
Well, thank you. Can I just add a little bit to that
Of
though?
course.
So what I wanted to tell you with that I've learned really recently, Kelly, is this. I am my best coaching client. I have the experience. I've been that person that I look out into the world and say this, that, or the other. They don't want, they have the excuses. I've been there. So I am my best coaching client. And so I bring that to the table. I resonate the twin
Right.
with them because that will really help them to draw near to you, to draw trust, to want to do better and to go better and to stick with you as a coaching client. And that is really true. And so that's the real thing that I want people to understand is that I'm just not an expert out here just throwing you knowledge at you. I've been there, done that. And what I want to do is I want to hold your hand. I want to cross that river with you. I want to see you succeed and be that higher version of yourself that I know you can be because I'm doing it. Anybody can do it. You just have to have the knowledge. You have to have the understanding. You have to have the wisdom. And what is wisdom? And we're on that challenge of wisdom, right? Wisdom is applying that knowledge correctly in the right way that benefits us all.
Um, when you start working with a new client, and let's say that they've never worked with a coach before, are there any common misconceptions that you find that you have to overcome?
You know what? I've thought about this. And to be honest with you, I really haven't thus far. With the clients that I've had, I'm kind of detailed, not kind, I am detailed. And so I prepare a person, I give them everything that I can give them to be able to come to the table and know what to expect, right? And so, yes, they're going to have questions along the line, but I think, again, it just really goes back to their expectation of themselves and their expectations of me is and why we have to do it this way. Why do I have to even pay the money? Why does it take this long? Right. And so I think that would be the one thing that I would have to say is challenging is to getting them to understand is that it's the small steps. We don't need big steps here. The more problems you have, we have to take the smaller steps to get you through them, not big ones, because you're going to run and then hide. We're talking about personalities. We're talking about patterns here. We're talking about the choices and decisions that you've made over your lifespan that are habits. We're talking about your identity. We're talking about your beliefs. It's huge, it's deep. And so you have to go very small steps and go vertically deeply into each one of those step by step.
And it takes time.
It takes a lot of time and patience.
So, what makes you feel inspired to do what you do?
The word inspired. Inspired means in spirit. And when I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm to be very honest with you, I'm in a zone. I'm in spirit at the time. So spirit is taking over and I'm able to do what I need to do to help that person. Um, Sometimes we have some stumbling blocks. Sometimes we have to back up, let them have their moments and everything. But I'm inspired because I know it works. I know change work. Coaching people really, really helps them get to where they want to go from point A to point B without a doubt, because I've experienced it You've probably experienced it, and all of the coaches out there that are coaches that have the knowledge base to be coaches have experienced it.
So people hire me as a fitness professional either to help with their training, the physical training, and or their nutrition. And one of the challenges that I run into is at some point they feel like, and this is before they've reached their goal, the goal that we had discussed in the beginning, but they feel like at some point along the way that they don't need my help anymore, that they can do it on their own. And by and large, I watch these people in the gym that they're still training, that they stay members at my club, and I see them struggle, if not even go backwards. Does that resonate at all with what you've seen with some of your clients, or?
Does. Actually, let's take it a little deeper. It goes along with being a healthcare professional in the healthcare industry, where you see the doctor's biggest challenge is their patients not being compliant to whatever they're telling them to do, whether it be medications, diet, exercise, whatever. It goes into my coaching. And I just want to let you know, as a personal trainer, I came from NASM myself in
Really?
1993. Yeah. And so I had that certification. I had my own business. And so I definitely saw that they would come. They would do as much as they felt. And then that critic brain says, I don't feel safe here. I'm ready to go. I can get this done on my own. It's not going to take all of this. But you have to understand is what is really deep down inside prompting them to stop. Why do they feel like that they can do it on their own? And that's what I delve into, as I try to figure that out for them. And then I try to get them to understand you're going to need a little bit more help. I have a system. I have accountability is like a stool with 3 legs, right? So you have your system that you bring to the table, your accountability, and then your support. And if you take one of those things away from that table, what is it going to do? It's going to fall. And so I tell them you're going to need all 3 to stay connected. And then that's where I bring in the body, the spirit, and the soul. What I do is coaching, because you can't do it without them being connected. You have to understand, what does it mean to have a physiological body that has, then you have a soul with a mind, and then you have emotions from your heart, not your physical heart, but your spiritual heart. And how does this all connect, and how does it work together? And so I try to go real deep, not early in my sessions, but I try to get them somewhere along the line to connect who they are.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on just ongoing personal development? I mean, obviously you have your certification that you've gone through to be a coach, and as a nurse, I mean, do nurses, I mean, do you have continuing education that you have to go through, just probably ongoing, right?
Absolutely. Every state has a different amount. In the state of Illinois, you have to have 20 CEUs every 2 years when you get your licensure, because we're licensed, not certified.
Okay.
And so, but for me personally, that's always what I've always been drawn to do. Personal development. Personal development and spiritual development are the same for me. I don't separate them. They're the same. And so I've always been drawn to more knowledge. How does this work? I ask a lot of questions. That sometimes is problemsome for some people, but I ask a lot of questions. And so I'm still on a journey of personal and spiritual development currently. I got my double certification, but I'm in mastery now with the same HCI. And so I've up leveled my information. So I'm back in another course doing another 9 months to let's go a little deeper in identity and behavior and beliefs, because that's where the true work is really at. It's not surface, it's really deep seated. And so I'm always doing that. And then, like with my nursing, I'm a staff educator where I work.
Okay.
So every nurse that comes across my desk, I'm educating them. And so for me to educate them, I have to stay in tune with the changes of the world. And so things change, right? My new thing now is learning this technology.
I'm with you. I'm with you right up until yesterday when I did one of these, and I was filming it at my gym, and I was using one of the club's computers, and it's not set up the same way that my home computer is. And in the moment, I couldn't figure out how to get my microphone to work. And so I had to record without. I mean, I got the recording done, but I mean, that's just, I have to go back and figure that out. I mean, at the time, I didn't want to, anyway, it was a little bit embarrassing, but it's just learning technology. I mean, because what I'm doing now and what you are, creating content, and this is all a very new game for me, but it's been fun.
It is. It's definitely fun.
So what's one of the biggest personal challenges that you've gone through, just either with career or life? I mean, it can be personal or professional, but having gone through that challenge, you feel like you're a better person for that.
Well, I would have to definitely say personally, when I was going through the storm, I call it, and we're talking 12 deep years of being a nurse and dealing with the depression and panic and anxiety that I was on the level I was real deep. Medication wasn't helping. Going to see a psychiatrist wasn't helping. And one day I just told God, I said, look, I'm too afraid to die, and I am too afraid to stay stuck in the position that I am living. This is not living to me. So something's going to have to give. And then again, here I go. I was on my TV and a self-help program came up. It's a 15-week program. And I decided to purchase it and to delve into personally learning about anxiety, depression, and all of that. And as I continued over the years to apply that thing, I came out of that thing without the help of professionals. And so by me knowing, going through that for myself, coaching, and I'm not saying that no one needs to give up their doctors or the medication, by no means, please stay there. But what you can add on to that thing is coaching to help you get a better understanding of what's going on, physiological, biological, psychological, emotional, and all that with yourself. And so you can little by little get yourself out of that and then manage it to a way where you don't have the episodes anymore. And I don't. And if I do have anxiety, it's because I'm supposed to. That's the natural thing that we do. Our brain has been wired for the fight, flight, freeze, and all that good stuff, right? But when I say normal, world doesn't understand that, I think me going through that and being a healthcare professional really helped me to help somebody else.
Okay. So what one book has impacted you the most in your life for the positive?
I haven't read many books in my life, to
Really?
be honest. Really, I haven't. And the one thing that I've learned about myself is that I always said I'm not a book reader. Despite going through high school, college, nursing, my courses now, I'm really not a reader. I learned better hearing. So I got me Audible and I get the books on Audible, right? But the one that is very impactful for me recently is The Seat of the Soul.
Okay.
The Seat of the Soul. And so that's teaching me a little bit more about the spirituality aspect of what I'm looking for to implement in my practice as a coach. And then you asked me another question about not just the book, but what else?
Just how it's impacted your life for the positive.
Yeah. So like I said, it's just teaching me more about the power that I have within that I didn't know I had. The choices that we have the power within to make the better choice, to have a higher life, a higher being that we can be instead of staying stuck and stagnant in the areas that we don't. We talk about, I don't know why I continue to do what I do. I don't know why, life is throwing these things at me and I don't know how to handle them. Well, once you learn about how to do that thing, then you can come out of that thing. And so the Seat of the Soul has helped me so far on relationships, it's helped me on addictions, it's helped me on the power, authentic power that you have, that you can change whatever you want to change. It's just a choice.
Okay, so on a daily basis, what do you do to take care of you? I mean, the old safety message that we hear when we fly, if the cabin pressure drops and the oxygen mask drop, put your mask on first. What do you do to take care of yourself on a daily basis so that then you can take care of everyone else in your life?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's awesome. So self-care is very important to me, and I teach this well as a coach as well to the women that I serve. And so daily, I wake up with gratitude. That's the first and foremost thing that I have to be thankful for why I even am breathing, because I know the breath of life is you can't survive without it, right? It takes 4 minutes for your brain to start deteriorating if you don't have the breath. And so I have gratitude. Once I finish gratitude, I do some worship and prayer, but getting out in nature and exercising, you might see my videos. I'm out there almost every day doing a 5K or less, depending on the weather and things. It started raining on me today, but I love that. I connect with nature. And then I try to capture my thoughts on an ongoing basis throughout the day. Okay, if something comes across my life, a person, an experience, or whatever, okay, how am I going to react? You know, how is this going to serve me or not serve me today? Am I going to feed into it or not? I have a choice. And so I make choices all throughout the day. And then tonight, when I'm done with you in a couple of hours, I'm going to have a 1.5 hour massage.
There you
And
go.
I love my massages. I do them at least 2 or 3 times a month. And they just really relax my entire body. You never know how much tension you get from the stress without you in your body. And it could be ongoing, but relaxation baths I do. And I listen to meditation music all throughout the night, even when I'm sleeping. And then I do meditation just a little bit sometimes throughout the day.
Okay. Um, what's the best compliment you ever received?
Yeah. So I would say, if to sum it up over my careers, my lifespan, is that I have a passion to serve and that I am a very caring individual that loves life.
Okay. Um, what's the best advice you've ever received?
This is really huge for me, is that you don't have to have all the answers and know it all. You just don't. Be equipped to go into something knowing that you might mess it up and it's okay. And that for me is important because that I'm getting out of, I'm recovering from having a personality of perfectionism.
So one of my favorite quotes from one of my longtime mentors, I first saw this guy speak live back in the late 90s. His name is Andy Andrews. He's a New York Times best-selling author, multiple times over, speaker, consultant. But he has a quote: God doesn't give us the ability to always make the right choices, but he does give us the ability to make choices and then make them right. And so
I
I really
love
like
that.
that.
I
Okay.
love that.
So what would your friends and family describe? How would your friends and family describe what you do?
This is another great question because I really haven't thought about that much in my life. But if I would have to look at my friends and family that know me, they would say that I am a person that creates opportunities to help others.
Okay.
And whether it be my nursing, personal training, coaching, and all the other, being a nurse, educator, so forth and so on, everything that I do has a passion and purpose to serve others.
Okay. So a little bit different question. If you could have dinner with three people, past or present, or combination thereof, who would they be?
I have two that have passed that never got to know me, but I know them very well, and they're mentors to me, but they never got to physically know to mentor. And the first one is Dr. Miles Monroe.
Okay.
He was the first person that I saw on YouTube that had a message, a kingdom message, because I am a woman of faith, that resonated with my being. He taught me a whole bunch about being um, my life, about circumstances, how to get through it, all through his videos. And I would love to meet him, sit down and have dinner with him and just pick his brain a little bit more.
Okay.
The second one would be Oprah. Oprah is huge for me because I've had her magazines. I'm on her daily Oprah thing show. I actually was able to visit one of her shows, and I was in a lot of depression and anxiety during the time we went to one of her shows. And she had Ramsey, the man that talks about spiritual financial growth and things of that nature. Ramsey, I'm
Dave
sorry,
Ramsey.
there you
Dave
go, Dave Ramsey. Yes.
Ramsey.
And so I got to get his books and all that, and being her show was fab, but I was sick. I would love to just sit down and ask her a few questions at dinner, just talking about, yes, you've had the financial abundance, wealth, you've had your story that you've told, you've, helped so many thousands of people in what you're doing, you're continuing to do it. How are you really? I want to know deep down inside internally, where are you at in your life? That's
She's
what I want to know.
she's a smart lady. If you've not watched, Evan has done a number of videos with her. Um, they're worth
I'm gonna need to
watching.
watch them. Yes.
She is brilliant. Okay, third person.
Third person is my spiritual guru, that is Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Wayne Dyer. I love me some Wayne Dyer. And again, Miles Monroe and Wayne Dyer were at different times in my life, but I didn't know when I was looking at their videos that they had even passed away. I was not given that knowledge for a few years after. And I'm like, what's happened? So Wayne has put a little spin on spirituality for me. And so he's the man that I would have loved to hear his story. And I was very surprised to hear how he died and who he was in the midst of all of that. See, the one thing that we know for sure, we can think that XYZ is not going to happen to us, or we might know that, there's this time frame or whatever, but we don't. We really don't. We just try to live the best life that we can live here on earth and try not to cling too hard onto life whatsoever.
I agree. There's only one that knows the future. And it's not
Absolutely.
us. Okay. So what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Definitely be patient with yourself. Life knows. There's this saying that life is not doing things to you, but life is doing things for you. And I truly believe that. Everything that I've gone through, good or bad, was for me. And I can reflect back on those things and apply them in my life and help somebody else because of that. And so just one, be patient with yourself. Take the small steps. Don't be so gung-ho about, getting out there and having to have it right now. You know, give yourself some time. Let life evolve or help you to evolve in the way it's helping you, give you the lessons and supporting you along the way.
Okay, so one more. This is the legacy question. How do you want to be remembered?
So guess what? I love this question because I'm living my legacy now. I live a legacy to leave a legacy. Monetary money, inheritance, and things of that nature. It's the way I position myself, the role model that I am now, just like Jesus Christ for me was the role model, and he's still leaving the legacy for the world forever to the end of the days. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm leaving my legacy by improving who I am, becoming the authentic person that I've been born to be, knowing who I am, implementing all the things in my life to make better choices, to become a better person, and to serve people in a better way.
So, Andrew, I've enjoyed our time. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom?
Oh, we are on the word of wisdom this month as a challenge, right? And so I just want people to know that to be a wise person, you have to obtain knowledge, you have to understand what you're trying to know, and then when you apply it in the correct manner, that is wisdom.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your words of wisdom.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed every minute of this.
Okay, so you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm sure we will talk again soon.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye.